Okay, today's lesson is going to be on how to construct a V block, which is 4.26, page 126 out of technical drawing, which is the Bounty and Haas textbook. So what does that actually look like? Well, here's the drawing. That's the actual V block. That's what we're going to be drawing today. In particular, just drawing the part, not putting it on a sheet. And before you do that, obviously you need to do some sort of a plan, because this one is requiring an order. So here's a sketch I've got. It's an inventor part construction plan. I've started with number 1, a new project V block, new part V block. Number 2 is get a new sketch and extrude it 66 millimeters, and I did not include the circle there. And I'm going to extrude it 66 millimeters wide to get this. Now on that surface there, you're going to create a sketch and extrude it. And if you notice, I've got 4A here. 4A is an alternative, and 4A actually gets you straight up to the end straight away. This one here gets you to add the circle on, extrude it, and then create a new sketch, put the slot on there, and extrude cut it. If you come over to 4A here, you can see that I've got the slot and the circle already added. And you're probably wondering, well, you're going to add material for one and cut the other. How do you do that? Well, there's a tricky little bit called share sketch under your command, which allows you to borrow the sketch from another one. You can only do this once. So if you've got a sketch there, you can borrow the sketch once after you've used it. Alright, so I'll show you both of those methods when we come to construct it, but you do really need to sit down and do a plan. Okay, so let's just shrink those down. Here we are, I'm back in Inventor. I've already created my project. You can see that the V block is there. So create a project, and then we're going to go new, metric, standard millimeter, part, create. Now it's a good idea to save this as a V block. You can see I've already drawn this before, but I'm going to call it V block. I've just cheated a little bit there. I've already drawn it. I can't obviously call it the same thing again. So here we go. There it is. Alright, so we're going to start by following our plan. And my plan was to start a 2D sketch. Select one of the surfaces. I grab the vertical one. You don't have to, it doesn't really matter. You can rotate it later on. I'm going to use the rectangle command and draw myself a rectangle. Now that rectangle is going to be 81 millimeters by 40 high. Just hit the center of that, puts it back into perspective, and the height of it is 40 millimeters. Okay, so there we go. That's our first thing. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut it out. The V is a little bit tricky. I'm just going to sketch it. I've on purpose not made it 45 degrees, just makes it easier. And I'm going to come down to there like that. Okay, there we go. So I've got all these dimensions which are, all these lines that are not dimensioned, that they are in sketch mode, hence why we have that. And I'm going to start dimensioning. So obviously I can't grab that. I'm going to grab this and that, and I'm going to make that one 10 millimeters. If you're going to watch this video, it's a good idea to actually have the drawing next to you, just so you can see what I'm doing. That dimension there in the book is 6 millimeters, and there we go. Notice how it changed that, pushed it aside. It's a good thing I've got this constraint up here. I'm going to dimension this one at 45 degrees, because that's what it says in the textbook. There it goes. This one here, it says it's 12 millimeters. And this one here is 45 degrees as well. There you go. this dimension, I'm going to use the point to line. It says that that is 6 millimeters as well. Alright, so you can see that if you're having a look at the drawing, it's actually got a recess down here. I'm going to put that in right now. Here it comes. It should be automatically 12 mil. Across and up we go. Escape. Alright, so I'm going to trim this. Just trim that. This comes up here, so what I'm going to do is to get rid of that dimension up there, escape, which isn't a problem. The depth of that groove is 6 millimeters. Let me just stick that one in. There it is there. And as a matter of fact, you probably just realised that I don't actually need to delete that anyway, because all I'm interested in is this section here. So I could trim all this, but I'd have to get rid of all these dimensions to allow me to do that. I'm going to leave that as it is. 6, 6, 45 degrees, 45 degrees. That's 12, 6 mil down. I think we're right to go. This is 81 millimeters long. Even though the block says it's 114, I haven't added the circle section on the end. So I'm just going to finish the sketch there. I'll zoom back out. I like it at an angle. I can see what's happening. There's the extrude. I'm going to make the extrusion 66. And there's a couple of choices you could do here. I'm just going to grab that one. There it goes. It wants to throw 66 there. I could throw it the other way if I want, or I could go 33 each way. That's actually not a bad way to do, because it'll actually pick up the center line there, so I might leave that one there like that. And there we have the block. On this front section here, I'm going to create a new sketch. Now I'm following my plan exactly. I'm going to use the circle command. Here it is here. I'm going to put that circle exactly on that green dot, which is the center of that line. Drag him out. There he goes, right there. Okay, and this stage here, my original plan, if you remember, was to draw that circle and extrude it. So I'm going to go up through to that section and show you how to do that one first. Then I'll come back and do this one here. Alright, just let me shrink that down. Now this stage here, there's no need really to get rid of any of that circle, because if you extrude it, you can actually add inside the material and it doesn't really make any difference. So I'm going to finish the sketch there and I'm going to extrude it. Now obviously I want to go the other way, and as soon as I do that, it wants to cut it. Oh, yes it does. So I'm going to add it, and of course I just want to go 10 mil. Okay, there you go, and you've got this lovely little section. So I'm going to do a new sketch, which is the same as what's on my plan, and I'm going to draw a line down the middle, which should be, this should be the green. There it is there. Put a line down the middle. Escape. I'm going to put 2 circles there. The first circle is 12 millimeters. 12 millimeter diameter. I'm going to go 12 on this one. And the dimension between the centers is 24. Now we haven't quite finished yet, because from that line to the center of this one is 18 millimeters. So I'm going to go pick up that center. There it is. And that is 18. Okay, here's a chance to use the tangent command. So I'm going to put this line across here like that. And I'll put another line across there as well. And the idea of this is that those tangents should be perfect. Come up to your command up here, which is tangent to a circle, and I'm going to make that a tangent to that. Make that a tangent to that. Now as long as those circles are right, because you put in a horizontal line, they should be perfect. And I like to trim them up as well. So I'm just going to go trim, trim, get rid of that center line. There you go. I don't really need to get rid of these, but It's nice to reinforce the trim command, and I'm going to finish the sketch. Now if I turn this around, you can see that I've got a slot there ready to go, and I'm going to extrude that slot. Now I don't want to add, I want to cut. I want to go 10 mil, or I could go through all. And I go OK. And there you go, you have your final problem. Now, adding color, I'm not going to go through that. Obviously, you know how to select surfaces and use your materials and colors up here. Alright, let's go back. I'm just going to stop and get back to where we didn't have the circle here so I could show you 4A. So I shall be back in a minute. I'm just going to pause this for a minute. Alright, I've just changed my mind, because if we have a look over to the side here, you can see that I've got an extrusion there, and extrusion there. So these two extrusions here, we're actually going to put into one sketch. So you'll end up with you'll end up with two extrusions instead of three. And as I've said, that's probably the way to go. So I'm just going to delete those. I'm going to consume the sketches. If you don't consume it, it'll just throw the sketches there, which you can use later, but I want to get rid of those sketches. And this one here, I want to get rid of that, because I'm going to show you how to do the other way. Alright, there you go. So that's where we are. We're up to that point. I also think, alright, we'll use this section here. New sketch, so there's nothing different. Draw a circle, same thing. In the middle, find that green. There it is there. Out to here. There it is. And while we're at it, we're going to put a line down the middle, which will be exactly in line with that. Horizontal. There you go. I'm just going to stop here for a minute, and I'll quickly complete that slot. So give me a second. Okay, so we're back. Alright, we've got one extrusion up there, and we've got our sketch here. This is nothing different to what you haven't had done before. Of course, you could have made that a semicircle and drawn a line across here and extruded that. But for all intents and purposes, it's no point. So here we go. We've got our sketch done, and we're going to use those two sketches on a different level. So let's have a look at it. We're going to finish sketch, and we're going to extrude. Now I'm going to extrude this section here. I don't want to go that way. I want to go down. There it is there. And I'm going to go not cut. I'm going to go add. Okay. So you get this slot in the middle. Doesn't matter. There's that extrusion there. I'm going to come down, and I'm going to borrow that sketch, so you can see that we're going to save ourselves a lot of time. So there's the edit sketch, but what I want to do is I want to share the sketch. When that happens, you can go back to extrude and extrude that one there. Now this time I don't want to add either, I want to cut, and I go OK, and you get the final solution. Now we've got three extrusions, but we've only got the one sketch. It automatically transfers over to it. So yes, it is still three extrusions, but there's less work in it, and you bypass a lot of work. Alright, some of you might be concerned about all these lines up here. You can get rid of them through the view object visibility. You can untick a lot of those and it will get rid of them. So you can get rid of the sketching dimensions, etc. Stuff like that. Alright, so that's how you create this V block. There's one other thing I want to show you, but I'll put it in another video. Alright, have fun with that, and we'll catch you later.